There is nothing more destructive than doubt when it comes to our walk of faith. Stick with me today as we talk about doubt and how to get beyond it. Welcome back to Coloring Through the Bible. My name is Keegan Harkins, and today we are talking about doubt. I hate doubt. I wish that I could say I never had any doubt. I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. But that would just be a bull-faced lie. It would be terribly not true. I doubt all the time, but I know that doubt is so destructive. I know that doubt is the thing that can destroy a ministry. It can destroy a life. It can destroy the path that you're on, and it can destroy our faith. But I still struggle with it. I think that Satan uses doubt to just keep us from being able to move forward, because we can become so tied up in these, insecurities and not sure that we aren't moving anywhere. We're not being productive, and we're so busy second guessing what we're doing that we're only getting half as far as we should have gotten. And there's lots of great stories in scriptures that talk about doubt. Most of us have all heard the story about Peter getting out and walking on water, doing amazing things because the Lord said he could, and then he doubted and he started to sink, and Jesus picks him up out of the water. And that's a wonderful story because it reminds us that when we doubt, one, we're going to start to sink, and that's just the way it is. Our eyes get off of God. We stop focusing on the Lord, and we start focusing on ourselves, and our insecurities start to motivate our actions, and that's when we start to sink. That's just when life gets to be too much, and you start to second guess, and you start to worry, and you start to panic, and you start to become ineffective. And like Peter, we begin to sink. But Jesus is always there to catch us when we start to sink. He can always pick us back up again. And I love that story because it's a great reminder that he's going to catch us. He's not going to let us drown. He's going to help us. And that we need to keep our eyes on Jesus. And there are other stories. You have Thomas, who's famous for doubting. And even though I think he shared a very realistic doubt, it's hard for our physical eyes to not see something and believe it. It's hard to believe in what doesn't make sense. That's faith. So in essence, both of these two stories about doubt that the New Testament gives us, they really point out that faith and doubt are at complete opposite ends. They're fighting against each other. When we're doubting, we aren't walking in faith. And that's hard for me to say because I think I struggle with doubt a lot more than I would like to admit that I do. But I do. I start to worry. Am I doing the right thing? I don't want to let God down. I don't want to be going in the wrong direction. I don't want to waste my life and get to the end and have God go, I wanted you to turn left and you turned right about 30 years ago, and I've just been waiting for you to get back on track. I don't want to miss whatever God has for me to do. And because I don't know exactly, I don't know exactly every step I should take. I have to live by faith. And when I start to doubt, then my faith starts to crumble. But there's a story in the New Testament that is the opposite of the bad stories. It's a story that has a lack of doubt, and it's a really cool story of just complete trust and faith. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. I want to share this story with you. It's a story of the centurion whose servant gets sick, and it comes to us out of the book of Luke in chapter 7, and it actually starts right at the beginning of the chapter and goes through verse 10. But I just want to kind of tell you the story and then just pick it up at the end. So the centurion's servant, his favorite servant, had gotten sick. And the centurion heard about Jesus, and he believed in Jesus. He knew that he was the Son of God and that he could do amazing things. So he sent his servants to go and tell Jesus that this guy is sick. So the servants go to Jesus and they say, this man, this centurion, he deserves to have you do this because he loves our nation and has built our synagogue. So Jesus went with them. He was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, "Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. That is why I didn't even consider myself worthy to come to you. But just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me, and I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it." And when Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him. And turning to the crowd following him, he said, "I tell you, I have not found such great faith, even in Israel." And then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well. That's the opposite of doubt. This centurion understood that everything works in an order, that Jesus is the ultimate authority, and he can command sicknesses to go, he can command healing, he can command nature, the winds to stop, he can command everything on this earth because he's in charge of it. And he understood that, and he didn't doubt for a minute that there was no limitations to how awesome and powerful Jesus is. And Jesus was amazed at that kind of faith. And you know what? He's amazed because honestly, most of us don't operate in that kind of faith. Most of us have fears and doubts. And that doubt is what keeps us from living in that kind of faith. You know, he could have even had a doubt. Well, not that he couldn't, he could have believed, well, Jesus can heal my servant, but only if he touches it. Or only if I'm found worthy enough. See how we put those distinctions on ourselves? We think that perhaps we're only deserving if we've done X, Y, Z. But the truth is, there isn't anything. I love that his servants tried. They said, look, there isn't a man who deserves this more. Honestly, none of us deserve anything. But God gives it to us as a free gift, which should make it even better. This is even better to stop our doubting because we don't deserve it. We can't lose it because of our unworthiness. We can't gain it because of our worthiness. Everything that God gives us is because he loves us, not because we deserve it. So we can't lose it when we mess up. Because God's grace and his mercy and his calling, it isn't based on us. It's based on him. So we don't have to worry and doubt that we're good enough to fulfill the calling that God has placed on our lives. Because God didn't give us that calling because we were worthy. He gave us that calling because he designed us to create works for him. It's all about God. So when we start to doubt that we can't do what God has told us to do, or we can't be the best in whatever we're trying to do, that we somehow aren't capable of doing whatever task is in front of us, we're really doubting that God can use us. So we need to kind of change our way of thinking. And I'm right here with you guys because doubt is something that plagues me all the time. I will start to really work for the Lord and be doing something and really pouring my heart out into it. And the very next thing I know, I'm starting to doubt it. I'm starting to doubt not that God isn't amazing. God is awesome. I have no doubts that God isn't the most incredible thing ever. But I doubt myself. I doubt my ability to, one, hear God's voice correctly, to discern where God wants me to go. I doubt that all the time. I doubt that I am doing a good enough job all the time. And I know I'm not the only person. But so the next time that I start to have these doubts, the next time you start to have these doubts, I want to remind ourselves of this centurion and his faith, and that it amazed Jesus. Maybe that just takes a little bit of pressure off of me a little bit. I know that I doubt, and I can identify with Peter a whole lot more than I wish that I could, but I do. And I love that Jesus loved both this centurion with the amazing superstar faith and Peter, who doubted and got scared all the time. He loved them both, and he loves us the same. There's no perfect measure of faith that we have to live up to. Jesus says that just the little bit of faith without doubt can move mountains. So we don't have to be rock stars. We can have a little bit of faith and just keep building on that faith. And every time doubt rears its ugly head, we can remind ourselves that it isn't about us. It isn't about whether or not we're good enough. It isn't about whether or not we're strong enough or talented enough. Throughout history, God used people who weren't good enough, who weren't talented enough. And He created in them the talent. He created in them the ability to do whatever it was that He called them to do. So we don't have to put all that pressure on ourselves. It is all because of God that we do everything that we do. And if He calls us to do it, He's going to enable us to do it. So we just need to remind ourselves, when doubt rears its ugly, nasty head, we're not the ones in charge. God is. We'll do our best, and God will take care of the rest. I hope you guys have been encouraged today. I know that doubt is just one of those things that can just derail a life. It just gets you so off track. And so I just really want to encourage you and myself, anybody who ever struggles with doubt, get your eyes back on Jesus. Because when we're doubting, it means we're looking at ourselves. So let's refocus our eyes onto Jesus and onto His power, because it's way better and way more powerful than ours. I hope you guys have been encouraged. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a truly blessed day.